Autumn often feels like nature's way of reminding us that we can change and change can be beautiful. For me, I think the falling leaves reflect transitions, growth, and even letting go. And that strongly mirrors my journey with Empowerment Junction podcast. For those who just joined in, my name is Olivia Bassi and I'm the host of Empowerment Junction podcast. Now today, I wanted to take some time to reflect on our journey. From the time I launched this podcast in December 2023. Now, launching this podcast has been a season of surprise, self-discovery, and profound growth. The podcast became an extension of my consultancy work, a space to foster empowerment and build a sense of community. I've always believed in the transformative power of words. Now, one of my favorite quotes is from Margaret Atwood, who states, "A word after a word after a word is power." Now, through conversations and stories, I've witnessed how words can open up minds, change lives, and inspire new beginnings. Now, before Empowerment Junction became a reality, it started as a spark of an idea. And this was during my research. I found myself immersed in many conversations, sometimes even debates with friends, colleagues, academics. And these conversations were brimming with insights, curiosity. At one point, I even considered whether writing a book is the right thing, but I felt very strongly led to bring in an idea that I can involve as many people as possible. Now, I wanted a medium where ideas could live dynamically, a space for real-time connection, and the answer became very clear that a podcast was the thing to do. Now, creating the show meant reconnecting with my research roots, exploring themes of self-growth, empowerment, and purpose-driven living. For those who probably might know me in my previous life, my degree was in management and marketing. And I also did a little bit of law, so I understand some legal concepts. But I really had to reconnect with my research roots to go in and do a bit of journalism to understand what a podcast and how enriching a podcast could be. Now, my goal wasn't to dictate, but to guide. And I really hope I've done this. Crafting questions that invited listeners to explore their own journeys. And this was done, I feel, by the curiosity that I sort of fostered into the community. My aspiration was to emulate the warmth and intelligence of many talk host shows I see. And some of them are very famous. Some of them have got very, very pronounced fantastic ways with their shows. Although, yet, in a way, the process humbled me. So much so that when I heard my recorded voice for the first time, I have to be honest, it didn't sound like the polished version of myself that I imagined. And after countless retakes, I discovered the simplest yet most transformative approach. And that was speaking as though I was sharing my heart with a close friend. Now, this authenticity became my anchor, and very much so many times so that after many recordings, I was so tempted to edit and re-edit as many times as possible. But I had to stop myself and remember, I'm sharing this with a close friend, and this is how I would talk, and this is how I would try and ignite curiosity or continue that conversation. Now, the most humbling surprise for me has been the growth of our audience. And with that, I just want to say thank you so much. thank you from the bottom of my heart. This journey would have not been possible without you tuning in week after week, asking me questions, sending me your various answers, and enlightening me in terms of your lives, and sharing little bits of your lives with me as well. So thank you. Now, seeing the numbers climb was obviously validating, as much as I've talked about validation and not relying on validation. But hearing stories of how the show has impacted lives has been profoundly moving for me. So I have to say thank you once again. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for being with me on this journey. I would have not done it without you. Now, I wanted to take this moment to discuss a number of central themes that resonated with so many of you, and so many people listened and re-listened to some of these episodes. For example, one of the themes was resilience. Now, as Maya Angelou said, I can't be changed by what happens to me, but I refused to be reduced by it. As many of you know and have shared, resilience was a key recurring theme, whether it was resilience in the workplace, whether it was resilience in your life, whether it was resilience within your personal finances, or other ways of resilience. That's the essence of resilience, when facing challenges without losing your spark, and most important, your spirit. Now, in our podcast, I did share why resilience matters in many ways, in the workplace particularly. And that is really why I'm here today. Because I feel before many things happened to set me off to start this podcast, resilience was a theme and a core area in my life that I was almost drawn into and forced into it. And the reason why perhaps many of us tuning into this episode and resilience has been a core theme for this podcast, and for good reason. So today, really, I wanted to dive in a number of reflections, and I also take this opportunity to thank all those who've been with me since the beginning or joined us along the way, because really you have made this podcast a vibrant, empowering community, and I'm so grateful for your support. So thank you again. Now I want to discuss a little bit on some of the themes I've picked up, and I'll start with resilience. Now, many of you wanted to understand resilience from a core point of in the workplace, and as well how to employ it in your life. And somebody asked me a question about what about our finances. So I did an episode to add more to your resilience. Now, resilience, as many of you are already aware, is the ability to bounce back from adversity. Now, it's the way I want to describe this now. It's like a rubber ball. Picture a rubber ball. When you drop that ball, it doesn't just lie there, but it springs back up. So I'm hoping by now you can see that motion, that springing back up when you drop it. By dropping, it means you are on the ground, because really, if you think about it, the ability to get back up after you fall is really what resilience is about. As Les Brown stated, and I've used many times in many of my themes around resilience, when life knocks you down, if you can look up, you can get up. So that's really what it's about. It's about springing back up. Now I want to use this example. Now picture this. You or anybody you know or even a stranger. You see them all the time. For those who follow athletics, I'm a big fan of athletics because I'm really inspired by some of these athletes. And in fact, I was recently watching um, a program on Netflix, a documentary called Sprint, and it's about the athletes just before the Olympics and their triumphs and their training processes and the interactions with their coach and just how they're engaging with the community. Very inspiring. If you have some time, watch it. It's called Sprint. Anyway, back to my story. So imagine this, a young athlete fueled by dreams of Olympic glory. And they train relentlessly for years. You've seen it, whether it's an athlete, whether it's any footballer, they always training and they're training for years. So the reason why I'm using the athlete is because Olympic is normally the place where they dream. So this athlete has been training for years relentlessly, then suddenly an injury shatters their plans. Now, the world could have collapsed, but they chose a different path with the support of their therapist, family, and unwavering belief in their comeback. They slowly rebuilt their strength. Not only did they return to the sport, they became a beacon of resilience. Why? Think about the things I've mentioned here. Support of their therapist, family, so that's the social connection. Unwavering belief in their comeback, that's the mindset. And then slowly rebuilding their strength, that's the physical ability. Now, all these elements are connected for this athlete to come back and be a beacon of resilience. Why? Because they have to work together. And in a way, that is what resilience is about. Bouncing back from adversity. And what is adversity? Things that come unexpectedly, not planned for. And a lot of the time, they are a negative thing that you have to try and challenge yourself to create a positive out of it. And it's not easy. Now, this is just an inspiring story. It's a lesson for all of us, I think. This is the way life works. Life throws many challenges along our way. Some expected, some not. But resilience for me has been the key to overcoming them. Every single article I've written has been about resilience. And this is not solely focused on a particular race or a particular creed or a particular type of human being. This is across the board. It's about understanding that life will throw challenges, life will throw setbacks, life will throw curveballs, but it's up to us to really build that resilience, to overcome it, to come out of the other side. To actually believe that the sun's going to shine tomorrow, to believe that the rain will come and grow my plants, to believe that I'll be nourished, to believe that it doesn't matter if I'm in the desert. Think about that dry shrub that's in the desert that's growing, that's green. Some of us are like that, yes. We've been left in the desert without any water, no support, nothing. The sun is constantly shining down and telling us we're not growing, but we are growing. We are germinating. We are coming strong because really we've weathered the storm. So we are like a rising storm, and that's what I really wanted to focus on as I'm touching on this episode of resilience. I've had many stories, and many of you have really inspired me to really continue with this podcast because of some of the challenges that some of you are going through. And some of them are deeply personal. And I've sat down and I've listened and I've tried not to judge. So forgive me if I've been a judge. I've tried to offer my best side. And sometimes I know that doesn't come out very well. But that's part of being me. Many flaws, many flaws. I didn't come here to say I'm perfect. I don't want to be perfect. In fact, I just want to be Olivia. Olivia's got many good, many bad, many crazy, many ugly. That's just me. And this is part of the learning. This is part of why I feel this community has thrived. So this is what I really wanted to share with you today. My reflections and my thoughts. Particularly now where we're in November, where we're coming towards the end of the year. And some of you are left thinking, how am I feeling this year? Have I grown this year? Or have I really plateaued? These are really tough questions to ask yourself, but I think they're important. They're really important. This is why I started this podcast, to really, hopefully, inspire you, ignite some curiosity to think, how am I growing? Because we are all about growing. Growth is not easy, particularly at a certain stage in our lives. It's not easy. You've come out of education when you're 16 or 18, whatever. And if nobody's force feeding you that information, it's up to you to now find ways of growing yourself. You might be lucky, you might be going to university, who knows? Or you're at a workplace and they're expecting you to work in a regimented way, which means you just follow the instructions. They're not expecting you to think outside the box. You've stopped growing. Stop lying to yourself. This life, for you to flourish, for you to be able to really find the joy, the gratitude, and really appreciate living in this life, you have to be growing. I've already told you the power of being curious, the power of understanding how to build more wisdom, more knowledge, more power, more strength. That's all part of it. Because at the end of the day, if there's one thing, and I want to remind you, I've been wishing all my listeners a happy birthday every month. So if every month you're growing, the only thing that's growing is your height and your body, and your mindset is still at the 20-year-old, and this is not to judge anybody, it's time to really reflect. Go to that mirror and understand, what do I need to do? Because life is about growth. And the fact that you've reached another milestone, by that I mean your age, your height, your body weight, your body shape, whatever it is, means that you're growing, whether you like it or not. So which means you should be growing in all the other factors in your life: your mindset, your thinking, your emotional intelligence, your mental capacity, the people around you. So, and this is why I felt resilience was a key theme, because we all want it. And sometimes some of us are forced into it, and that's why sometimes unexpected things happen, because they really force you to look at yourself in the mirror and think, I can't change all the other things, but maybe this is life telling me I need to change myself. So resilience is not about being unbreakable or immune to pain. No, it's about how you respond to life's tests, how you adapt to circumstances, and how to find ways to move forward, no matter how difficult the journey. Now, here's a few tips I want to leave with you today as you listen to this podcast. And this, I hope, can help you cultivate resilience in your life. Number one, adopt a growth mindset. Because setbacks will come. And when they occur, focus on what you can learn. Think about it this way: what am I learning from this? What is life trying to tell me about this? Now, challenges, as I already told you, are opportunities to grow. My next place to go, number two, mindfulness. Practice mindfulness. Mindfulness helps you stay grounded and clear-headed in adversity. I've given you examples. Go to a few episodes. Go to the episode where I talked about gratitude. It's important to be grateful for the little you have, because the little you have opens up to even more bigger things. Even 5 minutes of gratitude every day or meditation can shift your perspective. Trust me, it works a trick. Don't even trust me. Forget about me. I've given you the example of many influential people. They only stay consistent by practicing some of these strategies in their life. And mindfulness, gratitude are always at the top of their list. Strengthen connections. Resilience often grows in community. Reach out to those who inspire and uplift you. Whether you're following somebody who's inspiring and uplift you. I gave you an example on one of the episodes where we talked about gratitude and growing through setbacks. And follow people who don't inspire you. The naysayers, they should not be in your life. Time to reconnect with the people who inspire you and grow you. I know social media is a big one on that. Take the time. This could be a vision. This could be part of your vision board for next year, 2025. 25. If you look at your circle, in fact, do it this way. Look at your circle and draw a pie chart. Divide the pie chart into 4 and identify who are the people who you're following who have always got something inspiring to say. Who are the people who you're following who look at it from a 25% perspective. So you've divided your pie chart into 4. 25 are the ones who inspire you to grow, always have something positive to say. 25% are the ones who really ignite your curiosity. They always pose a question that you think, oh wow, I'd like to think like that. 25% are the ones who perhaps you're thinking, I'm not sure about, but yeah, they always have something, but balance it from the point of, are they more negative or positive? And the other 25%, the ones you're definitely not taking with you in 2025. And start deleting. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you think, they're going to unfollow me. That is beside the point. Trust me. Next year, this 2025 in November, you'll come back and you might thank me. Because you'll find that the 25% was taking space and you've now grown, that you've welcomed new followers who have better things to offer you because they're growing you. So the 25%, I've told you, that's the power of gratitude. That's the power of remaining grounded. Once you do that, you really take away the things that no longer serve you. And that 25%, as much as you're keeping it there, is probably, you're going to attract another 75% who are supposed to serve you. Think about it that way. Now, I don't want to linger around too much. So my next 3 are around connections, self-care, incremental goals, small steps, breaking down into small steps. Self-care goes without a doubt. It's hard. It's a hard life for everybody out there. Nobody is immune to it. So please practice self-care in whatever shape or form. Take a day for rest. A day that it can just be about you. Think about, what do I want in this life? What if I was told tomorrow is the end? How would I live today? Or just right now? Now, for those looking to explore resilience further, I have some books I recommend, and I want to say this from the bottom of my heart. Reading is a priority in this community. There's no excuses. There's now Audible. You can listen to it if you're not a reader. That's another way of absorbing information. There's various ways. I've told you. And if you want, if you're struggling with a book and you don't have, write to me, email me. I'll send you a copy. I'll find a copy somewhere and I'll send you. Now, certain options I want to encourage you. Option B by Sheryl Sandberg and Adam Grant. This is a heartfelt guide to finding strength in adversity. Do find that. Make an effort during this time to read some books. Rising Strong by Brené Brown. This is a blueprint for embracing vulnerability and resilience. Brené Brown is a good writer, very easy to read, very smooth flowing. Another one, The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. I like it. This is around the Stoic strategies for turning trials into triumphs. I've already told you about Stoicism. Marcus Aurelius being one of the famous ones, some of his philosophies around his personal challenges and politics, very inspiring. Tune into that. Make sure you're reading in whatever shape or form. I'll really encourage you to read something. Start small. That could be another vision goal you could put for 2025 to increase your read intake. Now, each of these books offer valuable insights into overcoming challenges and building a resilient mindset. Now, resilient isn't a fixed trait. It's a skill that can be cultivated over time, and it keeps growing. There's many ways, many lengths, and many ways that resilience is it never goes away. Every time life teaches you how to be resilient. And some people, unfortunately, you're forced to be resilient. Now, by practicing these strategies, I really hope you can adopt a growth mindset. You can develop the resilience needed to thrive, not just survive in the face of adversities. I've told you, when life knocks you down, if you can look up, you can get up. So keep looking up. Keep getting up. Keep turning up for those jobs. Keep applying for those jobs. Keep applying for those opportunities. Keep knocking on those doors that are saying no. Keep going. Don't give up. Do not give up, because this is your life. Don't believe in those. Trust me, there have been many. Everybody has had to take this step. There are many gatekeepers in many environments. And if it wasn't for the people before us who decided to keep knocking those gates down, they won't be here. So think about it that way. And as we close this year, I really want to encourage you to reflect on your journey. Set bold goals for 2025 and prepare to embrace the opportunities ahead. For deeper insights into resilience, I really encourage you, and other topics around resilience and really rising strong. Please remember, I have blogs on Medium. And of course, if you subscribe to my blogs on Medium by email, you can read them for free. Or feel free to revisit my past podcast episodes, and let's make 2025 a year of growth, empowerment, and most importantly, resilience. Resilience does not go away. We have to keep cultivating it. Now, my next area, and one of, again, the most listened to episodes, was around moving forward when you're feeling discouraged. As you know, there comes a time in life when we all feel discouraged, whether it's a setback, a personal challenge, or even a global crisis. Such moments can test our strength and resolve. Now, the key to moving forward lies in how we respond, shifting our perspective, and developing coping strategies and nurturing a positive mindset. That goes without saying. Now, this topic I found is very close to my heart and many of you listeners. In fact, we discussed overcoming discouragement in one of the very first episodes of this podcast. It was one of the most listened to episodes, and the overwhelming response reminded me just how universal this experience is. Discouragement affects all of us at some point in our lives. If you're a human being, it's part of it. It goes without saying, and I believe it's a subject worth revisiting, which I will continue to do, especially as we reflect on the year gone by and look forward to the possibilities ahead. Now, discouragement doesn't appear out of nowhere. It often stems from a combination of factors. Some of you might think this is on point, and some of you might disagree with me, but I feel from personal experience, number one, discouragement comes from negative self-talks. This is a long inner self-critic, the voices that chip away at your confidence and motivation. Then number two, the fear of failure. The thought of falling short can always leave us feeling stuck and hesitant to take risks. Remember, I did a video on this, on the fear of failure and how to embrace failure. Take some time to go and listen to it and revisit it and see perhaps where you might need to do some growth there. The next one was around the lack of support and the people you've surrounded yourself with. Sometimes, and a lot of the times, we're encouraged by our family, friends, mentors, and if these are not there, or if they're doing the opposite, this can chip away at us and leave us feeling isolated and frustrated as well in many ways, and this can deepen. Now, it's important to recognize these triggers, because awareness is the first step to tackling them effectively. Now, some of the strategies we did offer to overcome discourage is to practice self-compassion. Be as kind to yourself as you would a friend. Remember, when I started this podcast, it was all about talking, like I'm talking to my friend. Avoid self-criticism and focus on what you learn and improve yourself. Remember, I gave the example of how I wanted to sound when I started this podcast, and I've come to realize there's nobody like me. So why would I want to be somebody else? Use the same to think there's nobody like you. Self-compassion is a game changer here. Allow yourself to reset with kindness rather than blame. Quite useful in many ways. And as well, notice when negative thoughts arise and actively counter them with positive affirmations. I gave you examples of how, when my negative thoughts come in, I labeled it with a name, and I tell it, No, this is not the time. So use cognitive behavioral strategies to reframe these thoughts. As an example, when that voice comes to tell me you can't do this, or this is not for you, then I'll tell it, actually, I can, and I'm learning how to do this and how to handle this. And it could be for me, so I'll never find out until I do it. Yes. Next one was around your goals, setting realistic goals. We talked about SMART goals. We talked about breaking small goals when they're becoming overwhelming into smaller manageable steps, and celebrating each accomplishment and how to reward yourself. This all adds up. So I even wrote a piece about this. Now remember, progress isn't always linear, but every step forward is a step in the right direction. And most importantly, incorporating relaxation techniques and prioritizing self-care and rest. And add that with your social support and that social cohesion around you. Share your feelings with your family, your friends, and those people you trust. And if you're feeling very stuck, by all means seek guidance from a therapist or join a support group for those who can afford it. Now, sometimes just knowing you're not alone can make the difference, and that's why this podcast is here. Because it's encouraging you and reminding you you're not alone. Everybody needs a sounding board. And my last one was around cultivating gratitude. This is very powerful when you're feeling discouraged. Now, shifting your focus to the positives in your life, no matter how small they seem. Just the fact that you can even listen to a podcast is something to be grateful for. The fact that you woke up today, the fact that you've had a meal. Somebody else might not be in that fortunate position you're in. So it's important to really take some time to reflect. How do you reflect on? You can keep a gratitude journal as a way to regularly remind yourself of your blessings and the life's blessings. Gratitude for me has a way of reframing your perspective and creating a space for hope and joy. So very, very important. Now, when I first spoke about discouragement in this podcast, I was deeply moved, I have to say, by many of you who connected with the topic. Now, some of the message I received and the feedback and some of the personal stories really inspired me to continue exploring some of the important subjects around discouragement and even reading wider and further. Now, discouragement, I know, doesn't define us. No, it's part of our journey as human beings. It's a stepping stone that, with the right mindset, can propel us forward. As one of my listen to episodes, this topic resonates deeply with me because I know how much it resonates with you. It's a reminder that with life's challenges, and when life challenges feel overwhelming, the tools to overcome them can always be within reach. So I'm encouraging you to take that step and use those tools. Now, in this reflective season, I want to encourage you to revisit all the earlier episodes where we've explored resilience, self-compassion, goal setting, financial resilience, dealing with toxic workplaces, how to cultivate gratitude. They've been endless topics we've talked about, and they're still growing in a way, and there's more to come. And of course, if you subscribe to my blog, you'll find additional articles there to inspire and guide you on your journey. And for those who have subscribed by email, obviously you can read them for free. So if you like that opportunity, please feel free to subscribe by email. Above all, remember that discouragement is temporary, but the strength you build in overcoming it is lasting. Now, I want to leave you with this thought. As we prepare for 2025, I want us to commit to growth, self-compassion, faith, and hope. I know, and I'm sure you do know, that there's always a way to take the next step. And the next step is certainly by you visualizing where you want to be. And of course, you can always reach me out via email if you have any thoughts or stories you want to share, or just want to understand further about some of the topics. And I know for those who've reached out to me to say, oh well, can you share these resources, or this resource is not available, by all means, I'll happily go and find them and share them out with you. I'm happy to do that. So for my closing thoughts today, as we wrap up this episode and this season, I am taking this time to thank each and every one of you, particularly those who were with me from the beginning, and also those who've just joined me, for being part of this journey. Your support, feedback, and engagement has been truly inspiring. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. If you do celebrate Christmas, this is the perfect time to pause and reflect. For me, the end of the year is a natural moment to take stock of where you've been and where you want to go. Now, here are some prompts to help guide your reflection, and if you're working on your goal setting or your vision board. Now, the first one: what were your biggest lessons in this year, 2024? And the second one: what 3 goals do you want to achieve in 2025? And my last one: what habits or mindsets do you want to carry forward? And of course, for those celebrating Christmas, I really want to encourage you to embrace the season with gratitude and joy. And I really hope when you spend your time with the loved ones, you'll cherish those moments that matter. And remember that the greatest gift you can give is your presence. Your actual presence, your being. As we close this season, I want to leave you with some empowering thoughts. The first one around resilience. When life knocks you down, if you can look up, you can get up. Because strength does not come from winning. Your struggles develop your strengths. Which means when you go through hardships and decide not to surrender, that in itself is strength. Remember that. On faith and keeping the faith. Remember, faith isn't just about believing in what you cannot see. It's about taking action. Because number one, you trust in the outcome. As we step into 2025, let's remember to walk with faith and courage. And my last one today: remember, the path to achieving your goal isn't always linear. It's very much okay to take detours and adjust your course. And in fact, it's quite important to do that, because there's some lessons sometimes you can only learn from taking detours. Now, the most important thing on this journey is to keep moving forward. Whether it's little steps, small steps, they'll get you towards the next goal. And of course, if you're looking for more inspiration, here are some books and resources to dive into over the break. Atomic Habits by James Clear. The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. And You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero. And if you're looking for other powerful fictional stories and powerful authors, at the top of my list, Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, Maya Angelou, Alice Walker, Les Brown, Lisa Nichols. These are stories filled with grit, filled with perseverance, filled with fictional stories that can really uplift your spirits. And I like to share. I share these books because they've really shaped my thinking. And they've really uplifted my spirits and given me the tools to stay focused, motivated, and aligned with what I strongly believe is my purpose. So, in a way, as I wrap this season, I am taking the time again to thank you for being part of this incredible journey. The fact that you've been listening, the fact that some of you have shared your stories, the fact that you've taken the time to give me feedback and engage with me, you've really helped shape this podcast. So I really hope you found what you've came or why you joined into this community. And I really hope you'll continue to tune in next year as we share more inspiring stories. And of course, if you have questions, reflections, or you just want to share your thoughts, please remember you can reach out to me via email. You can reach out to me via any of the social media sites that I've got, or even via the podcast. You can offer your thoughts at every episode. It's there for you. The podcast is for you. Now, I'd love to hear from you even during this festive season, because I'll be taking the time to spend it with my loved ones, and I'll be reminding them it's not about the gifts. And don't no, I like to be gifted, but I like to be gifted because it's when gifts I strongly believe should come from a good place. It should be that my presence is more than enough, and that's why I like spending time with people who gift me from the bottom of their hearts. So I hope it will be the same for you. And just because I'll be spending time with my family doesn't mean I won't love to hear from you. I'd love to hear from you. And if you haven't already, if you're new or it's the first time, please follow us on social media, on any of the platforms. We're in many platforms now: Amazon, Apple Podcast, Spotify, Good Pods. We are in many platforms: Twitter, Facebook, Google Pods. And I really hope you keep an eye out on updates of season 2. It's going to be bigger, better, and full of many surprises. And for now, for those enjoying the festive season, if you're celebrating, for those who aren't, take this time to set your goals, reflect on your journey, and prepare to make 2025 your best year yet. As I wrap this episode and this season, I want to thank you again, each of you, for being part of this journey. Your support and engagement has been truly inspiring. I hope to see you in January for the premiere of season 2. But don't forget to watch out for the season 2 trailer, which will drop between now and then. It's packed with exciting updates and a sneak peek into what's to come. Until then, take care, enjoy the festive season as you celebrate, and remember to reflect, set your goals, and embrace the possibilities ahead. Stay resilient, stay hopeful, and I'll meet you in 2025 with renewed spirit, energy, and inspiration. Thank you so much. My name is Olivia Bassi, and have a blessed, joyful, and purposeful end to the year. Bye for now.